I'm JenniferLancaster from Business AuthorAcademy, and in this episode we talk all about how to get started as a new writer, including some tips I've got on beating procrastination and writing blocks. Also how to outline your book in one easy method, and a lot of fun conversation with Prosper about, all the myths and things surrounding publishing, and how you can go forward. So hopefully you'll join us there.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your premium destination for exclusive insights into the journeys of remarkable individuals. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got a special guest whose expertise has been the guiding light for so many aspiring authors. Now, Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Prosper. I'm glad to be here today to talk about what you could do with publishing.
Great stuff. So many people are aspiring authors out there. And you know what I just realized, Jennifer, that you can't call yourself an authority without being an author, because if you look at the word authority, there's the word author right smack bang in there.
True. And some people get a hang up about having the word author as opposed to just a writer. And I think you just need to embrace it.
Fantastic. And we're going to be going through all of that and more, tracing your journey and how you actually got involved in this industry. So in a word or two, Jennifer will help you to learn to write and produce a book that helps you prosper. And she is a seasoned book editor and a writing coach who's dedicated her career to helping non-fiction authors bring their visions to life. Now, she comes with a rich background in marketing and copywriting, and she's transitioned into the world of book publishing as of late. Now, she is empowering other writers through her Business Author Academy. Now, Jennifer, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. Your career began in marketing and copywriting. Tell us a little bit about, what sort of roles you were involved in and, what you were doing as a marketer and a copywriter.
Well, it's a funny thing, actually, that all the roles that I've done in the past actually help me now to be a better entrepreneur, because I've learned marketing facets from being a marketing coordinator in the 90s and desktop publisher as well. So that helps with, designing. And then I've also had a little bit more experience in freelance copywriting, where you take on project by project, writing websites and landing pages and all sorts of things, and look at it totally from a selling perspective. And this hat also works well when you're writing book blurbs. So everything kind of coalesces into one magical set of skills, which is what I like to teach others too.
Absolutely. And I quite like that, because it's all disseminating information. Either you're educating others, or inspiring others to want more, be more, and have more. But in the marketing space, it's obviously fostering some sort of a transaction to happen in the end. Now, from the time that you started this journey on marketing, has there been any changes that you might have noticed, or is it all still the same and we're just using different tools to do the same thing?
It's funny, because the principles of marketing generally stay the same, but the way that we do it and the way that people consume media has changed a lot. I wrote this book called Power Marketing first in 2012, when I was in a website design space studio, and it's changed 3 times. I've got 3 editions of that book because, even Google, it changes the names of its products, and everything is always moving. And there's new techniques popping up all the time. So it's hard to keep a track of every single thing. So what I tell people is to try to be good at one particular element of marketing, such as yourself. You've got your podcast. You might be great at other things too, but if you have more like 5 or 6 things, you can't be an expert at all of them, can you?
I like that. And I like that a lot because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. When I was studying marketing, they always told us there was 3 aspects to marketing, which is the message, the market itself, the people that you're going to be selling to, and the media. And one example that we used to have as a case study was Coca-Cola. All right. And when Coca-Cola started, they still have the same message, which is about happiness and things of that nature. The market is still the same. People that want to share Coke with a friend or family and a gathering and exchange that happiness. But the media is the one that has changed. Some people might, book me in the comments there, but their media was Santa, their media was vans, their media was, newspapers, their media would have been video back in the time. And if you look at the message today, it's probably disseminated through TikTok or whatever, but it's still to the same people and it's still the same message, open happiness. I don't know what you sort of think of that sort of breakdown.
Yeah, that's true, I think. Yeah, it is. It's the media that's changed the most, and you can have the same message going across different platforms.
Absolutely. Now, the media that you chose to disseminate your information has been books. Why books?
I just really love writing, I think it is. And so when my daughter was young, I wanted to write a little ebook about how to kick bad spending habits. And so that set me off on this journey, slow journey, must say. And it was fun to write and just publish my ebook on Lulu back then and actually get sales from people I had no idea who bought it. But it's like that was the early days of the industry of self-publishing, so 2006. Hardly anybody was talking about it. So I don't know. And a couple of years later, I published another book about financial planning because I wanted to look into it myself. And then I went a little OTT and wrote a whole book and edited it and all that. Did everything. I didn't use print on demand for that, but I still sold some with my marketing knowledge of landing pages. So there's so many ways that you can go with books that people don't realize because they only hear about one particular way, which is Amazon, KDP.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to go back to the time when you did mention your daughter and obviously bad spending habits. What was happening then?
I don't know. I like to disseminate a message, I guess. And the message was that if I can stop spending wildly on irrelevant things, then anyone can. And I was sharing my tips, basically, tips and some psychology that I also found out about. So helping other people conquer their own shopping habits and things. So I really got interested in the writing, and it was only short, 40 odd pages, but I sort of thought, oh, this is kind of fun. Yeah, I want to do this again, but longer.
Now, Jennifer, we've had 2 girls of our own, and one is 10 and the other is 6 at the time of recording. And with my older girl, I can imagine whatever was needed, even the car seat. I went to baby place where the most expensive ones will be found. And I was even charged an even equivalent amount to get it mounted in the car. So you can only imagine the things that people overspend on, especially if it's their first time around. And I remember last week,
and then you got the whole wedding industry, and that's supposed to be, oh, you don't mention money, and it's like completely everything is the same with babies, and yeah, it's true.
Great stuff. But there's a trend that I'm noticing here, Jennifer. Whenever you encounter some sort of a situation, when you investigate about it, you end up writing about it. And I feel like that could be a way that so many, authority people should actually undertake life, because we're learning all these things. But after we've gotten a solution, what are we doing with that information? Are you saying there could be a book in that?
Yes, and there's so many people discount what they know and what they've learnt through their experiences at work or in life. But really, a lot of it is something that's been hard for you to learn and grow through the process. And for others, they're just starting out and they just don't know where to go and what to do. So it can really help you them to have something that brings it all together for them in the form of a book. And it's something that you can offer people that doesn't cost the earth, which I like about it too. That's, between $20 and $30. And something you can also give away. If you're the generous type, you can give away your book and see the other people talking about it if it's something that resonates.
Like that a lot, because so many of the things that we're learning, and it's moving at a really fast pace. I mean, just being on Zoom today, there's a lot of learning that needs to happen, and some people just do it like it's okay. But for some people, they have to make sure they know how to fix the microphone, the settings are all in order, and things like that. And there's an opportunity for somebody to learn from that. So you mean to say, if I would write my process, people would buy that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If they think you've been successful in this area, which you have, and you've got some case studies, you've got some hints and tips on various elements of, say podcasting and how to interview or others, these are all questions people would have when they're at the beginning. That's the kind of book which is called a how-to book. So it's a very practical-minded book, but you can also write it in a way that's going to be easy and very consumable, easy to read.
Understandable. I mean, there could be a lot of books in the way and the processes and the way we actually run our businesses. But why do people maybe not feel worthy? Because writing a book is like putting yourself out there, and it's a permanent record that
certainly is putting yourself out there. Yeah, that's true. I think it is quite a big hurdle, and I've heard authors say, I've written this book, but I don't really either want it published or I don't really want to market it. And I'm going, well, that's not going to do anyone any good. Either you or them. So it is hard to get over it. I call it the 4 fears of writers. I can't remember exact off pat, but there is a fear of judgment of others. If you are writing about something particularly heartfelt, that could be open to interpretation. So that's a fear of judgment. Always people are going to judge. You can't do anything about it, obviously. And the fear of just getting published and just being in print. Some people will just edit for, over and over and over, and they can't get to the perfect stage. They're fearing to publish. Others might not know how to structure their book. They just don't feel good enough at the writing itself, which is where I come in as a writing coach. So you can learn techniques, because some people think that they're not born as a writer and their writing skills is very behind. But what I've learned from just learning how to write in different ways, there's techniques that you can learn, and it's just a process of practicing.
And, okay, so now that somebody has figured out that they have content and things they can teach others, what would you suggest to be the first step that they can take?
So if they have already done the thinking through their idea, and say they've got a pretty good idea that they think, oh, this could be interesting to write about this, because it's better to be specific as well on this, not to go too broad. We're not trying to teach everybody how to invest in property. We just want one niche market, or we just want one specific aspect. You see what I mean? So when you've got your idea and you put it in the middle of an A3 piece of paper, and this is called mind mapping or branching. So you start with that icon and that idea in the middle, and then you think of subtopics off of that main topic. So it's something you probably know already quite a lot about. So your mind will radiant thinking, it's called. So we'll go out and you'll have like a topic such as, if it was marketing, it would be, oh, how do you do email marketing, or what about content marketing? And then the other subtopics, they would also have little subtopics off them. So that's how you kind of come up with the very bare bones of an outline of a book. You're going to nail that down later, and you're going to sort out which parts are the best to include. But it's one way to get stuff out of your head.
Absolutely. I've noticed also, when you're writing a book, you start having so many different ideas, and that could be a book in and of itself. And, most people now no longer know which ideas to stick with and which ideas to rekindle later on as an idea that could be another book and things of that nature. How do you sort of work with people, help them
so true. As an editor, sometimes you see a book that's trying to be 3 different books, or the person's got too many ideas and they've gone off and written part of another book. So what you have to do as an author, you have to choose a theme. And then what I do is I get people to research the area that it's going to be in, so that you know which gap in the market that your theme is slotting into. And then I get them to write a statement, so a purpose definition statement. And that means what you are going to try to achieve with this book, like an outcome kind of thing. So the purpose of the book is to enlighten others that they shouldn't fall into scams and that they should have a financial plan, for an example. So that purpose definition statement will also inform your theme, and you've got to make sure it's very on target all the way through. You talking about the same thing. Even if you put your stories into it, that's all good.
But also, there comes a time where you're looking at a screen and there's that world between you typing and the cursor moving. And I think they call that writer's block or something like that, because it's just a block of time that cannot be accounted for. And so many people end up just having that going on there. How does one get past that?
Well, there's different exercises you can do. I can't remember the name, but there's a lady who is in America, and she teaches people how to write using morning pages, she calls it. So it's just like taking a pen in the morning and scrawling out 3 pages longhand of everything you can think of. And in this case, we'd be trying to think of our book topics, but, like other things might come in there. And this is just like an unblocker of your mind. So when we're looking at the page, we're thinking that first sentence has to be perfect, and it doesn't. You make a perfect sentence through editing, going back later and finding the perfect sentence rather than trying to come up with it, if you see. So yeah, what I just like write out some ideas on paper, and then I go, oh yeah, these are good, these aren't good. I'll put these ideas into the book. And so much easier to type up your ideas rather than to stare at the screen, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there's always, when people now get a momentum, there's usually the first book takes about 3 to 5 years to write. You know, and that's procrastination. Life is happening, and I don't know how you managed to do it. You know, writing about spending habits when you've got a kid there and things of that nature. But for some of us, is now there's always next year. You look at the time now. You know, we're already halfway through the year, so I'll start next year. That's when I'll be, you know, all good and ready.
Yeah. So as a writing coach and not I'm not a life coach, but I've had to come up with some ideas for that as well. So you know, you can do time blocking, but we need to discuss, or you can discuss with a friend. You know, how much time do you actually waste in the week where you could actually be sitting down and belting out some ideas on a page? You know, is it 16 hours a week you might waste in spare time and time that you could be doing it, or maybe just 4 hours a week that you could be doing this for? It doesn't matter how long. It's this momentum, as you say. It's getting into that routine, like brushing your teeth, and not letting this excuses of life get in the way. Was always going to be that, except if you're grieving or something has happened to you, you won't have any inspiration. But in other cases, if it's just that, oh, you got work demands, and that, it's actually quite a good release from work demands, because you're just doing this as a project. You can do it after 6 p.m. at night if you want, or in the morning. And it's actually, yeah, it's something that should be enjoyable to you and not a chore. If it becomes a chore, there's something wrong with the way that you're approaching it, Prosper. Yeah, you need to make it fun for yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do for my writers.
So now that you've said that, I think you've given all of us permission, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm working right now and I'm having a lot of fun while doing this. So at least I'm in the clear on that. So that's pretty amazing. But after the book is written, everything else is all said and done. Maybe we'll come back to the publishing part, but there's a part where so many of us are, you know, just stop dead in our tracks, which is the self-promotion bit, because you got to put the book out there and you got to let people know of, you know, the content and context of what you have written. But you've written 6 books, right? And the first ones have been in spaces of just your own personal sort of experience. How did you maybe overcome the challenge of personal promotion, knowing maybe you were not qualified to be the person speaking in that sort of position, but you've written?
Oh, I know. And it's a huge mind hurdle that you have to get over. And it took quite a few years for me to be comfortable going out and speaking on a topic like my book is covering. Even though I've written an entire book about something like personal brand, you know, I finally got to a space, you know, in the last 5 years or so that I'm comfortable launching a book. I can do a speech at the library and I can talk to people about what's interesting about a particular book that I'm promoting, and why is it that we need a personal brand, or we need to think about ourselves as a micro publisher, or whatever it is. But it took a long time, Prosper. It's yeah, because I was not a personal promotional person. just, more of us identifying as a writer. And a lot of people are like that. So I understand the struggle. But yeah, now with the tools we've got with our content that can make some beautiful imagery, and content tools like Canva, and also, just AI can help you write little captions to go on your Facebook feed. And, there's all sorts of things you can do to help promote the coming book in the 3 months before you publish it, and the 3 months after is the crucial period.
Now, Jennifer, you mentioning all these tools only came to light, say, in the last 5 years or so, or maybe a little bit earlier, but everybody really got to know about them in the last sort of 5 years or so, even though, Zoom was there, but people only knew it pretty much after COVID, and now Canva is now the thing about it. So I bet everybody who walks into your office or, speaks to you, you're laughing at them because you guys had to do this manually throughout, and if they're procrastinating, you're like, come on, get over yourself, because that's what I heard you say, Jennifer.
No, don't say get over yourself, but it is a funny little story. I had the first ever printer that did digital printing without film in Sydney. I used them to create a little book, a marketing manual, if you will, not really a book, more of a manual. And I tried to sell that. And what I did was I created a little flyer and had a little worm on the front. And it said, "Is your business just inching along?" with a little worm. And then they could open the flyer and then they could order the book from that flyer. So basic. And then I put it out, using post offices to distribute. And I got, 23 orders or something like that. But just simple means in those days, no flash stuff.
See, now you can literally start creating your own audience and bringing together people way before the book hasn't come in, and you can actually crowdsource the information. You can ask people what they want to read about. You can crowdsource the production of the whole thing. You can crowdsource I've seen people asking this cover or that cover and things of that nature, but that never was available for people in the past, right?
No, they didn't have that. But there's a clever little monkey overseas. What's his name? Jeff Walker, was it? That come up with a way to launch his courses. And he said, you've got to get people involved to get them involved in the early stages before you go and launch. Like, it's no good saying afterwards, I've now got a fully formed book that you've had no part of. Here it is. It's good to ask them questions and get their feedback, and they love being a part of my books. Like, I always ask some, like my personal brand, I asked some of the top marketers in Australia what they thought about branding. Like Peter Sandine gave me some great quotes for the book. So it's great to get people involved, both experts and just anyone on your Facebook feed to get involved. And then when it comes out, they feel like they've been a part of it, don't they?
Absolutely, because people will only support a wall that they helped to build, and especially if they were part of choosing the cover, the colors, and all that stuff, they feel like they were also involved in the whole creation sort of process. And publishing before, you used to have to go through to big publishers, and bookshelf space used to be big box bookshelves. But now, when you mentioned Jeff Walker, I thought you were going to talk about Jeff Bezos. Now it's obviously open that people can put their books on a limitless shelf and still get somebody out there who can buy it from them. How good is it now for people, and just in your own view of distribution?
Well, in my view, I try to take a realistic approach. I talk about in this new book as you have to think of it as markets, not marketplaces. So what I mean by that is Amazon is a huge marketplace, as is other retailers. But the thing is, if they're getting a flood of books, couple of million book titles a year going up there, and a lot of it's questionable, then how do you stand out yourself in that flood? The answer, I think, is to know your market, to know it really well, and to have a good angle so that people can quickly understand and pick up the angle. For an example, a really popular book's called The Psychology of Money. Everybody wants to know about the topic. It's clearly explained on the cover what it means, and the message is so clear as well in the blurb. So it's one of those hot sellers. So markets are different to marketplaces. You've got to know your market. And there's other places you could sell your book that would lead to success. For instance, a friend of mine who's used to be the president of the National Speakers Association, he had a book on, conversations, and was self-published. He was speaking at a conference, and he offered them his copy of his book as a sort of go in the bag style with the conference ticket. Now, he charged them a good rate, but he still got paid for those books, and he sold 300 in one go. So isn't that a lot better than waiting for one at a time to hopefully come in from Amazon? I think it is.
That's a very good idea, because I've been to events and you walk away with a goodie bag, and in there there's a book, or there's like a QR code to like an ebook that you can actually download for free and things of that nature. And I didn't think people could do that. So those are the kind of things, or the distribution mechanisms that you can get on top of and things like that. Now, you've written 6 books. What has been the highlight of being an author for you personally?
I think it's because I really enjoy putting my ideas into print, because I do have a problem with putting across my ideas verbally, or at least I used to a lot. Getting a little bit better every year. And I find that's my superpower. So I really enjoy doing the blurbs on the back cover. Writing those is something I'm good at, but something else I can help people with sometimes. And I just enjoy seeing the ideas put down. And then sometimes you pick up an old book and you go, gee, did I say that? That sounds like good advice. I must do that. Yes. It's things you might have said and you might have gone through at a period, and then you can look back and at that period and go, oh, right, yeah, I did do those things. And it's kind of like it's a surprise to you, kind of almost, that you've done that and that you've gone through that research.
Absolutely. I quite like that. And you mentioned superpower. So many people just do things just because they've seen Sally in another news feed doing it. So maybe start a podcast, like you said. Podcast is kind of my thing. And you've, explicitly said writing is kind of your thing, and some other people are really good at maybe video or things of that nature. How important is it for people to really know what their superpower is and, really lean into that? Because so many people would just want to write a book. And as you have said, sometimes it becomes a questionable piece of work that they've put out there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I always try to encourage people to think about, the highest quality that they can achieve. And also, it doesn't have to be a 12-year task like some people think. You can write a book in a year quite easily. And we were saying about the superpower. I think people will find after a while that they'll get into the groove of writing or the flow, and know what they're doing. It's just in the initial stages. It's like when you're learning in school how to write an essay. There's various devices and techniques you need. And when you're writing a book, it's the same. You've got to learn the techniques for your genre, your particular category of writing. And, you know, it took me a while to realize I don't want to be a lecturer. I want to include the reader in my discoveries, and that's a certain thing that you kind of come to in your writing style. So yeah, I think it's a superpower. It doesn't just come to you, boom.
Okay. Now, obviously, Jennifer, the people that are going to be watching this are coaches, consultants, people that have some sort of thought leadership to say, or people that are on the way up and things of that nature. At what stage or at what point in this journey should they actually reach out to you and start a conversation?
I think if they realize that they're serious about writing a book and they've got a timeline in mind, it's not just a one-day thing. They're bringing it into 2025 goals, write a book. And if they wanted to sort of shortcut that process, to have someone to give them feedback regularly on their writing as it is formed, as well as those techniques I mentioned, because it's a very lonely kind of process. If you're just doing it yourself, you don't know whether you're doing it right or not. So it's good to have someone every month look at your parts of your writing and give you feedback and where you're going next and help you with those decisions. If they didn't want to do that, there's plenty of books that they can read and look at to learn a bit more about the process. Like Writing Tools is a good ebook that they can read. 50 Essential Strategies for Writing. Various things like that they can do, low-cost things. And I've also got one on how to set up as a micro-publisher, which will be coming out in May. If they're more inclined towards the profiting from publishing kind of aspect.
Absolutely. Right. We'll go into that part. You did say low cost things. We'll be reading a book. So I'm already assuming that maybe just picking up the phone, calling JenniferLancaster, I actually need to make sure, my mortgage broker is also on call and,
Yeah, well, it's not that cheap having a writing coach. But what I would say is if you have written a long book and you want to get it edited, also a professional editor is going to charge you $3,000 to edit your book if it's, if it's your novice's first time. So, in fact, it is not that much more than an editor when it comes down to it, because there's a lot of work if you want to rearrange a book and have it kind of like looked at every single part, because most books are, 40,000 words or so. And so it's a lot of work to read over and rearrange, look at the grammar, all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So obviously people should come a little bit prepared to, spend a bit of money. And
yeah, you either learn or you spend in this world, don't you? You either have to learn it yourself 10 years or spend.
Absolutely. And if people are interested in getting to find out a little bit about how to work with you, where can they go on the internet, or how can they get started, Jennifer?
I guess a lot of people like to check my own website out, and that's JenniferLancaster.com.au. And there you can find some tips on my blog, and also all my services are there. There's different editing and writing coaching services, and all my books are there as well. And the Business Author Academy has its own website, which is just an early stage one. But my other one, I've had that for about 13 years or so.
Mm, absolutely. I'll definitely make sure all those links are in the show notes below so that people can actually, find their way to get started. Now, I think you're uniquely positioned, Jennifer, as somebody who's got marketing background, and now you helping people, with the book and also the way that you speak. There's different, there's markets and marketplaces. So many people just lump everything together, and the book no longer is directed at anyone else. And there's one
Mm.
thing that when we started the conversation, you explicitly asked if you could address the audience, where if you're reading a book and the book is involving you, you can't put that book down. Whereas if the book is just talking about the
Mm.
person and nothing is relatable to you, you'd be like, you know what? Why don't you guys finish your stuff and just tell me what you want me to learn from it when you're done? You know what I mean? And you're not engaged with the book, etc., etc. So yeah, I
Mm.
think this is
True.
an apropos type thing, and I really wish people would actually take this with you. But we did mention some things that so many people, even if they have that coach with them, even if they have the expertise, the editors and everything else, is always that self-doubt of, am I the person to be doing this? How do you help your clients navigate these feelings and really stay committed to their mission and goals in writing their book?
That's a good point. I think I have a good relationship with them. I build it up, and I ask them questions about what's stopping them going forward. And I might keep on making pauses until they tell me the truth, because we've often given excuse first, and then like later, if you keep on asking, the truth will come out. And that's when I say, no, it's not about that. It's not about worrying about the judgment right now. What you're doing right now is drafting, and you're making the basic draft. So you're not actually getting ready to be judged just yet. And I'm always there with them to help them in the edit stages so that it will be easy to read. Yeah, so I guess that takes some of the sting out of the fear.
Because I think once you've got the manuscript there, you can see it already coming out. You no longer, because you've done the work, you're no longer afraid to
Mm.
put it out there. You can't just put that down to a sunken cost. So I think that's a very good way to getting it done, because normally it's like, in this podcast now, we're now in the groove of having a conversation. Maybe some people are usually nervous right at the start, and once you've already put in some sort of a mark in what you've said, it always works out perfectly. So I kind of like that way of doing things, and
Mm.
moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, draft and practice, and keep working on something until it's right, and then you feel comfortable. Mm.
Now, obviously, people would be looking at it in this way, but I don't think this can be me and things of that nature. Maybe in your past, yes, of course, you've written about 6 books or something, but without mentioning names or, showcasing identifiable information, maybe you can tell us of a client or a customer of yours that has actually succeeded or transformed by way of putting the information or thought leadership out there through a book.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they don't think to come back and tell me the full story, but I did help someone who identified only as an accountant and business strategist. So Nicole, like last year, she wrote her book. So it was a compilation of various people's stories that were her clients. So it was easy to contact those people to get their stories. But also, she put in a lot of tips for business owners to do their to actually go forward with startup. And she was not a writer, but yes, it was pretty good to help someone like that who could who has the goal of writing a book, but it doesn't have like the skill of a writer to, and needs an editor to kind of like point out which bits need fixing. And so it was pretty nice to see her book that she'd actually had enough confidence in it to enter a competition, national business book competition. What was it called? Rise Up or something, I think she called it. And she had a great cover as well, and everything looked really good in the end. Yeah, so I'm glad that she got something from it and got that confidence to promote it afterwards.
Absolutely, and congratulations to you too for having been a part of that success. Now, you did hint on your upcoming book, Become a Micro Publisher, and it's obviously highly anticipated for those that know who you are and your sort of work. What inspired you to write this, and what can we expect to gain from it?
Yeah, thank you. I haven't talked about it enough out there in the world yet, but I will be at an indie author festival in April in Brisbane, where I will be talking all about the benefits of becoming a micro publisher. So it's something that's dear to my heart because I have talked to lots and lots of authors, and they have either lost a lot of money in the past through hybrid publishing, maybe not lost is the wrong word, but spent wrongly, let's say. And they also don't know all the ins and outs of what you'd need to do to set up independently. So as it's taken many, many years to learn those things, I thought I'd put it all together in one book, along with various things that no one ever thinks of, like having a publishing budget, not understanding what structure you're going to have as a company or sole trader, and registering that, and then also looking at ISBNs and copyright and all those things that no one ever tells you about, that can be the difference, between actually knowing what to do to publish books rather than giving up control over to a different company.
Absolutely. Now, Jennifer, obviously, you've already hinted to us that this book is coming and it's hot, and it will be remiss for me to not ask or book you in advance that when you're now doing your speaking route on the book, to also consider the Online Prosperity Show as a place where you can come and teach us how to be a micro publisher.
Great, sounds good. I'm quite open with all those things that I've hinted at already, and the basics are the benefits are huge. So it's a good topic to do, I think, because it's pretty much now what people want to do after being ripped off by all these American companies.
Definitely. Well, we will make sure that we schedule that in, and but I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your experience in this literally world is unparalleled. I mean, you come in from being a marketer first, then a book publisher, whereas some people come in from the opposite of being a book publisher and then try and masquerade as a marketer, and it's usually not it shows that, yes, this is like trying to just maybe put lipstick on a pig. So many people try and maybe create the book and then try and market it out later, but if you already baked the marketing in it, then there's not going to be any false starts, especially when it comes to the book, and those ideas that you've given us, especially that speaker who put the books in the speaking in the show notes, I mean in the goodie bags. So many people would wait until somebody makes a purchase, whereas you can, like you say, sell 300 copies in one swoop, and who wouldn't want that? So thank you so much for these invaluable
Yeah,
insights and
exactly. If
experiences
you
with
hear
us
of any
today.
conferences, let's all go. Let's all go do that idea. Sounds good.
No, absolutely. I mean, your dedication to empowering authors is just truly inspiring, because so many people have ideas inside of them and they never get to, talk of them. I don't know if you've ever heard this from Les Brown, that the richest place in the world is the graveyard, where
Mm,
books, where people die with books still inside of them. And, it's time to
mm,
bring them out, instead of haunting
mm,
us later on with all your data, which
mm.
it'll be a little bit too late there. Absolutely. And for those that are listening right
Yeah.
now, thank you so much for choosing the Online Prosperity Show, for spending your afternoon. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with somebody who might be wanting to either write a book, or has been contemplating about writing a book, or somebody you think they have a book in them but they haven't quite realized it yet. And I think the expertise that Jennifer brings to the table is that missing link that they might need. As you have heard, she's got ways to help people beat procrastination and also put their work out there with less overwhelm. And if somebody has shared this video with you, hey, they must have seen something in you that you haven't seen in yourself. So don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more insightful content like this. And as I was planning these episodes, our next episode, we're going to be exploring ideas on how to cultivate a happier existence. So help me thank Jennifer once again. And until next time, keep striving for prosperity in all aspects of your life. Bye for now.